got some moves to talk about. First, what do you think about the Mariners' deal for Luis Castillo?
I love it. I love it. You got a top of the rotation guy. You got an ace. I know some people were sort of a little apprehensive about the price tag. You gave up 3 of your top 5 prospects in the deal, but it's always hard. We get attached to prospects because we hear their names over and over. Got no idea what they're going to be at the next level. They could be stars, they could be busts. We have no idea. It's all it is potential versus a proven commodity in a top of the rotation guy. So I love it. I don't know. I'm curious to see how Scott Service works it out. Are they going to go 6-man rotation? Or are they going to slowly work Kirby out of it? Reach an innings limit. He occupies that spot. So I'm not sure how they work him in with everybody else, but I love the addition. I think it's huge, especially with an offense that is really struggling to be consistent. You need another guy who can go out there and hold the opposition down and limit their impact to 1 or 2 runs, give your team a chance to win, give that offense a chance to find a rhythm somewhere within a game. So yeah, I love it. You hate seeing Marte and some of these other names we've heard over and over again get shipped off, and there's the back of your mind, you're going, man, this guy's going to be a star somewhere else. But right now you're getting a proven commodity and a guy that's going to be at the top of your rotation.
So the Mariners made a couple more minor deals before the deadline. Did they do enough?
No, they didn't. I mean, if you're being honest, they traded for 2 injured players coming from the Giants, a backup catcher and a pitcher, and then they get Jake Lamb from the Dodgers for cash considerations. These aren't major deals. These aren't difference makers. I don't know. You look at Lamb, he's hitting, I think, in his career 205. He's kind of a lot of what you've got, except he's a little older. I think he's 31 years old. I know he's a local guy, which is great, but I mean, you've got versions of him currently with Dylan Moore and Luis Torrens and Abraham Toro. You've got a lot of role players. You've got what feels like a lot of utility guys on this team. You're kind of adding to the collection. I'm not sure what his role will be on the team. You got a backup catcher who, he's currently hurt, and when he's healthy, will be an upgrade, I would think, over Luis Torrens, who's having a dreadful year. Actually, I think he's been better defensively than he was last year, which isn't setting the bar very high, but I think he's been better defensively. But you upgrade your backup catcher spot. We'll see what that means to Torrens, who I think is out of options. So, but in terms of those moves, are they dramatically different? No.
So what about looking just at the entire MLB trade deadline this year? There's the big Soto trade. Looking pretty interesting one to you?
Oh yeah, that's huge. I mean, just even removing the Mariners from the equation. I mean, to see a 23-year-old who looks like a generational talent get traded, that's weird. You see him in all of these discussions, whether you're watching MLB Network or ESPN, whatever you're watching, and how he compares at this point in his career with what he's achieved and the names he compares to. And it's always Ted Williams and Babe Ruth and all these, names that are hallowed in the sport of baseball. So to see somebody like that at that age being moved is odd. And seeing how active the Padres were, in this trade deadline, you're kind of going, all right, the National League is going to be really interesting to see. Did they do enough? Did they get Tatis back in time to really make this count and make a run at the Dodgers? So, I think it was incredibly interesting. Yeah, I would love the Mariners outside of the Castillo move, which again I love. Would love to see them be a bigger player for some of these other players. Maybe not Soto. I mean, we can daydream about Soto, but it never felt like that was realistic. So I would love to have seen them be a little more involved in some of the other names that got moved around. But overall, as a baseball fan, yeah, I thought the trade deadline was incredibly fascinating.
Mariners are going to be counting on a lot of banged up guys down the stretch. What does the state of their roster tell you? The roster to me kind of speaks to the failure of the offseason. And you made a trade for an all-star in Jesse Winker, a young guy who you thought, man, this guy is just starting to scratch the surface of what he's going to be. He was an all-star with the Reds. You bring him over. Suarez comes over as part of that deal. You go out, you get Adam Frazier as well. And you look at the 3 of them, and what have you really gotten to this point? Suarez has been the biggest contributor of the 3, and he is cool. He's very streaky. He has cooled off in a very big way. He's been decidedly better defensively than I thought he would be. Offensively, he's kind of what you thought. Low average, leads Major League Baseball with 140 strikeouts at this point. Hasn't hit a home run in a bit, so he's very streaky. Frazier has been bad up until this past month. He's coming off a great month. Maybe he keeps it going through the end of the year, but you kind of needed him to get it into gear sooner. And Winker has been impossible to figure out. Looked like he kind of figured it out right before the All-Star break, and then since then he's kind of reverted back to who he was prior to that. So he's been a big disappointment. And you know, the reason you felt like you needed offense is because these guys just haven't really given you what you thought you were going to be getting out of them. So you felt like, hey, we've got to do something to add to this offense, especially with Ty France and Julio out. It feels like they're counting on the resurgence of Mitch Haniger, which I love Mitch Haniger, but I don't know what a fair expectation is for him. Is he going to come in and hit the ground running and he's just going to be a contributor right away, or is it going to take him some time to find his rhythm, find his timing? You know, I don't know that it's fair to expect he's just going to be hitting in the middle of the order and he's going to be producing from day one. It'd be great if he did, and he's done it before, so maybe he does it again, but I just don't know what's fair to expect from him. And the same for Kyle Lewis. You know, a guy who's got a chronic knee injury, coming off a concussion, can't really play back-to-back days, certainly not in the field, so he's extremely limited. You know, we can look at him and go, well, when they're healthy, it's a better lineup. Yeah, but, you know, how long is it going to take for them to truly find their rhythm after missing as much time as those two have? So you've got two consistent producers, like we talked about last time, and Julio and France, who are both out. You need those other guys to step up. And that starts with J.P. Crawford, who is supposed to be a leader on this team. And he's a guy that's really had kind of an up and down year. He's been okay. He's not been dreadful, but he's not been great either. You need him. You need him when those guys are out. You need him to really pick up his game. Winker is another guy, the guys we just talked about. And then all the role guys. You look at Toro, you look at Dylan Moore, you look at Haggerty. You got a lot of role guys that I think you're putting a lot of expectation on because you don't really have those everyday players to count on. You got just a lot of utility guys that you're plugging and playing.